years ago, I made a video about Wolfenstein clones. In that video, I described the criteria of a Wolfenstein clone as a shooter with horizontal gameplay, fast pace, corridor-like gameplay, the ability to hold all weapons at once, and a 2D sprite style of 3D graphics. The games looked at in that video were Skyfall, Intrude, Mad Sector, Gun Gods, and Super 3D Noah's Ark. I recently found other Wolfenstein-like retro FPS games that I wanted to talk about though, so here are more Wolfenstein clones. The first game that I want to look at is Merger 3D. Merger 3D was released in 2016, developed by indie devs Mahan, Art Arcade, and Sunpixel, and it was published by Sometimes You. Unfortunately, I couldn't get this game to work properly. I got it to run just fine, but my mouse made the camera fly all over the place. I couldn't figure out a way to fix this. I tried changing my DPI, my polling rate, and a couple other fixes that people said might work on the Steam forums. None of them worked. I tried to play the game with just my keyboard, and I could move around and aim just fine, but I couldn't find a button dedicated to firing my gun. So I tried moving and aiming with the keyboard and simply firing with the mouse, and it caused my screen to spaz out all over. The screenshots for the game make it look very similar to Skyfall, which I reviewed in the previous Clones video. I wonder if the game ran in the same engine and was similar. Regardless, I couldn't get Merger 3D to work, so I'd avoid it if I were you, but I wanted to include it because it kind of leads into the next game. Yeah, you're seeing that right. Cornflakestein. Released in 2017, Cornflakestein is a Wolfenstein clone featuring Nazi breakfast cereal. Unlike Chex Quest, which had its own unique enemies and style, Cornflake literally just replaces humans with cartoon pieces of cornflakes, right down to including Cornflake Hitler himself. I actually bought this game a long time ago, and like with Merger 3D, I had the same mouse input issues, where my screen would just shoot all over the place. But I decided to try it again, and it randomly works now. The achievements on Steam are broken, but the game itself works now, randomly enough. Anyways, like I said, Cornflakestein is a Wolfenstein-like game that replaces human Nazis with cereal Nazis, and guns with milk. You literally shoot milk at enemies to kill them. There are a handful of different guns you can get, some are better than others, but you can only hold a small amount of ammo for each gun. Health and ammo pickups litter the environment though, and aren't that hard to find. Every gun shares the same ammo, so you can only replenish ammo for a gun that you have equipped. So it's best to change to the gun that you want ammo for before picking up any ammo. Enemies also do a lot of damage really quickly, but there is so much health laying around that you really don't need to worry about dying. The last level is really weird. You travel inside your mind to fight an army of Hitlers. It's a really short, odd game. You can finish it in about 30 minutes. I wouldn't say it's a must-play, but there are worse ways to spend 30 minutes. Unfortunately, the game has been removed from Steam, so you have to find it somewhere else if you want to play it. The game does have some issues though. Enemies can shoot through walls, similar to what was happening in Mad Sector, and movement is very stiff. It's not the best to control, but is a huge step above the mentioned Mad Sector. This brings me to why I brought up Merger 3D as well. I wouldn't be surprised if all three of these games ran in the same engine and as a result have similar issues. The presentation and feel of those games are all very similar. I mean, the menus look about the same. So I wouldn't be surprised if Cornflakestein had the same issues that Merger 3D has. I found Afterlife while doing some random searching through itch.io. It's a small indie game made by a developer who goes by TPS Studios and was released this year. Afterlife is a really simple game. You get one gun, a shotgun, and go around a single level fighting Medusa-looking enemies and big ghost-looking enemies. It's really basic and has some issues like being able to see enemies above the ceiling, but movement and shooting feel good enough. You can finish the whole thing in about 5 minutes, but it's honestly a good foundation. You can tell this is probably one of the first games that this person made, and I think it shows promise. With some work on adding extra levels and tightening up the gameplay a little bit, the developer could make a very fun and memorable indie title. I'm interested to see if they ever add more to the game or if they release another shooter like it. But yeah, it may not have much to it, but Afterlife is a pretty good little demo type of a game. The next game I tried was DUGA, or DUGA. Released in 2018, it's a Wolfenstein-like roguelike, with procedurally generated levels, and comes with a level editor so people can make their own levels as well. It's a decent idea in principle that just does not work in practice. The random nature of the level design means that weapon placement is also random, so sometimes you won't even get a gun before running into a gaggle of enemies. Not only that, but every gun also has its own unique ammo, which is also randomly placed. So you really need the RNG gods on your side to give you not only a worthwhile weapon, but also the necessary ammo to go with it. It just really isn't fun or well designed. I appreciate the idea, but it needs some work. The graphics really aren't pleasant to look at either. Sure, a lot of these games have simplistic bit-style graphics, but DUGA just doesn't really have any personality. If you started the game with a basic gun with ammo, it would alleviate some of the issues, but as of now, I can't say I really enjoyed it. Switch Pyramid is actually more of a puzzle game than a straightforward FPS, but I still think it fits under that Wolfenstein clone umbrella. Switch Pyramid was released in 2018 by XNiloLD and is available for free on itch.io. The focus of the game isn't on combat, though you do get a gun that can be used to kill mummies. That said, you don't get a lot of ammo, and instead the focus of the game is on solving puzzles involving the manipulation of these blocks that move walls around and reveal new areas to go to, as well as opening up paths giving you access to keys which can be used to unlock doors. It may not convey the fast-paced action of a 90s FPS, but it does convey the labyrinthian level design and where the hell am I going feeling that 90s FPS games gave when searching around for keys and hidden rooms. Finding the solution to move on to the next part of this game offers the same satisfaction of finding the elusive key in something like Doom. The only real complaint I have is that the music gets really repetitive, as there's only one track that loops the entire game. Still, I like the Egyptian setting. It's something you don't see often in retro shooters other than like Power Slave, and I like the twist of making the emphasis more on the puzzle solving and key hunting aspect of a 90s FPS instead of the constant combat. Lab is the final free itch.io game I will be reviewing for this video. It was actually a 2017 remake of a game that was originally released in 2016, but since it's the newest version of it, I picked to play this version. Lab was developed by a guy who goes by Mutant Leg, and he has a bunch of games on itch.io, including Necrobox, which I will be playing and reviewing at a later time. Lab is a sci-fi Wolfenstein-like game, and a Wolfenstein-like game in every sense of the word. It controls well, has a plethora of fun guns and enemies to shoot, and features well-designed levels and environments. Some of these guns are really unique too, like this one that shoots out little alien bugs. The game looks great, has some detailed sprite work and level designs as well. It kind of reminds me of Gun Gods a bit. It has boss fights too, which later become regular enemies that you need to fight. The game took me about an hour to play through, but honestly, I really enjoyed it the entire time. That said, the sound design definitely needs some work. The sound effects are so quiet. It really takes away from the power and feel of the guns, and you can barely hear them firing. Still, I would definitely recommend checking out Lab if you're looking to scratch that Wolfenstein itch. It may be short, but it definitely fits the bill. Considering how well designed Lab was, I am looking forward to playing Mutant Leg's newest game, Necrobox, which came out this year and looks more like Quake, set in a Lovecraftian setting. I'll be playing that soon and releasing a video for that around Halloween time. The last game I want to review is Shrine. Okay, alright. So this is a Doom clone, more so than a Wolfenstein clone, but I still wanted to talk about this game. In fact, Shrine is a straight-up Doom mod that was released in 2019 by Scumhead, that runs on the GZ Doom engine, or any modern source port I would imagine, and even features reskins of enemies ripped straight out of Doom and modded slightly. If you've played classic Doom, you can easily tell which of these monsters are retextured from Doom. That said, there are completely original levels as well, and every weapon and environment is brand new. In Shrine, you play as Tusk, the skinless monstrosity, as you fight your way through a horde of demonic and angelic enemies. Jumping right into the game, you can tell a lot of care went into crafting the sprite details. The new enemies, guns, and level designs look great. It being a Doom mod, you already know what to expect in terms of gameplay. It feels and plays pretty much exactly like Doom, so it already wins in the gameplay department. Shrine takes it a step further and takes advantage of some of the features that the GZ Doom port offers. For example, the level design takes advantage of jumping and therefore requires some platforming to get around. Mouse look is also something that I probably should have been using to aim at enemies placed below stairs or flying above me, but I turned that off and didn't really think to turn it back on. The new guns are also really cool. One is a kind of laser gun that shoots like a stream of souls. Another is a BFG type gun that shoots out a large, thick blast of particles that do a bunch of damage. Shrine is very fun and balanced for the most part, but some of the bosses are a pain in the ass. They soak up a lot of damage, are hard to hit sometimes, not to mention they can kill you in seconds. The final boss was an enormous pain in the ass. I was playing on the equivalent of ultraviolence, and I died quite a few times on the last couple of levels. One level was due to a cluster of Barons of Hell, called Matriarchs, which littered the hallway below these stairs. The stairs made them hard to see, and I just got melted. This is probably why I should have been using mouse look. The final boss was also pretty hard, and took some precise strafing to avoid all of his attacks and finish him off. Another annoyance was the developer's love of cliffs. I fell off the side of a cliff so many times, and in this game they always lead to an instant death. It became really frustrating when you'd try strafing to avoid an attack or were jumping to reach a ledge and just fell to your death. You really need spatial awareness skills for this one. That said, Shrine was still awesome. A sequel mod for it was released this year, and I need to get around to playing that as well. Shrine is available for free on Steam and comes packaged with GZ Doom, and the sequel is on ModDB. I love retro shooters. I try to play as many as I can. If you know of any other Wolfenstein clones or classic style shooters in general that you would like to hear me talk about, please suggest them in the comments. Do you have a favorable Wolfenstein clone? Let me know about that as well. And don't forget to subscribe so that you can see the next Wolfenstein clones video. Thanks for watching.